goes.
There we go. Share. Oh, there's the S&P there. Oh, just underneath. So we are live on YouTube. Learn to Trade live and free. Welcome everybody. Welcome Jeff.
G'day Ash. G'day everyone. Thank you for joining us. Here we are on Tuesday. We made it through another Monday.
We did
too, I think.
Yeah. Actually, pretty good Monday. In the end, got some decent profit out of the market, and we are now looking to go long, which I have done. I'm now using this account as charting software. I'm not really initiating any big trades on this anymore, because there was a bit of an issue with the broker. So I am making sure that they don't close my account by making sure I place trades. So I'm
funny you should mention that that broker word. We are actually, those of you in the show already, we'll be talking to the co-founder, or the founder actually, and CEO of a brokerage that we are very interested in teaming with. That's Actions to Wealth. Very interested in teaming with. That's coming up in around about 40 minutes from now.
Yep.
And we'll be bringing you Phil Horner live into the show. If you've got any questions for Phil, now would be the time to post them, because it'll be too late once he gets in the room.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all, mate. No, you're absolutely right. Phil Horner from Fusion Markets, which you tried yesterday and you enjoyed very much, didn't you?
Mate, I've got to say, and I'll include this, and I'll be very happy to report it to Phil, that I actually put 2 trades in the market yesterday for the first time on that broker, and both of them were executed to the absolute 10th of a pip. Perfect.
Brilliant.
That is all I ask, and that has not been delivered to me in many moons. So yeah, very very happy with that.
Thankful of that. So and also of course we have our 5-minute brief or 2-minute brief. I can never really remember what it's called, but it's effectively trade ideas that Jeff and I express when we're off air. Yesterday I did actually post this trade in the broadcast group, which is the Telegram group, which I'm not sure how that.
OTP, yeah, online trading profits. If you guys go into Telegram, yep, and search for online trading profits, you got to get in there so that you can get access to all of this material that we put outside the show. And as you guys have been here for a while know, I only deal with the majors in the show now, but most of my trade ideas are coming on the minors, and that's what's posted in the groups that are outside of this one. So to get access to all of that stuff, you need to be a member of the Online Trading Profits Telegram group. So go there, register, it's all free.
Yep.
And lots of information in there all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are looking for a little bit of upside with the FTSE. I would like to target the gap, but considering the strength of the downside move, I wonder whether we actually might not get to the gap. You know, we might just about get to the trend line here. So going to look for that particular area as a potential take profit area. I mean, that's still a good 100 pips away. So let's see if we can get a 100 pip run to the upside today. Then we'll see what happens after that. If it breaks through that level, then we will be looking at something that I learned from Jeff to take more upside out of it. But we can cover that maybe later if it gets to that particular point. But for right now, mate, we won't have a rundown of the markets just yet. Let's get to the pound trade, and then we'll come back to what's moving the markets today and why I think we might actually have a bit of a relief rally. But that is probably all it will be. And I will also give you my currency of choice right now.
Oh, like that. Righto. I will attempt to, or you'll have to give me some powers of
no problem
of screen sharing. And I'll do just that. Well, the pound trade was winning yesterday.
Brilliant.
A little bit. I'm not sure we got too much out of it, actually. Screen, that one I think is the one I want. I find it very, very ordinary to be on a single screen scenario.
So why have you got that situation right now, mate?
Well, I'm away from home, mate. I'm up up on the mainland, and unfortunately I have only one screen and one tiny little laptop in front of me. So trading is not ideal, as you know, in those circumstances.
Yeah.
However, 2 from 2 so far on this broker, as I said, and hopefully we'll make that 3 from 3 with this one. We've now changed tack, and it's in our second beta test mode of pound US dollar breakout trades in the first candle of UK session rather. So what we're doing is we're trading the last 3 bars, the range of the last 3 bars. We had been using the last bar before UK open, but now we're using the last 3. So 1, 2, 3. The range on that is the low. Actually, I better place the long before we get an explosion here. The high of that bar plus 15 is where we go in. So we're looking at 1.2957 plus 15 becomes 1.2972 the last time I went to school, which is now a very, very long time ago. So you better check those maths. And
right, just quickly as well, mate. I'm hoping everybody's long the FTSE. It's looking pretty likely to get moved to the upside today. So everybody that's in the market, everybody that's in the show, try and get long as soon as possible.
Okay, I'll get through this very quickly, and we can go there and show. 1.2972, I believe, is what I said. And the stop loss will be 10 pips below the bottom of the range, which will sneak it underneath the daily pivot, which is cool. 1.2927 is the low, so 1.2917 will be the stop loss. Now, I repeat, guys, this is a beta test, and you should not be trading this at any risk that is even discernible. If you want to trade it, trade in micro lots. It's just a beta test, so we're really not saying this is a strategy yet. We're only testing it. Okay, so there's the long. The short will be the reverse of that. So we'll place the short entry here. We'll place the short stop here, or stop loss here. So let's do that very quickly, and we'll go to Ash so that you can get into the FTSE as well. Pending order, sell, stop. Can I remember the levels? Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. We'll go with that one there. 1.2917 is our entry. Doesn't sound right. And the stop loss will be, let's just look at that level, shouldn't I? 1.2972, that rings a bell. I'll just check this. 1.2917, yep, it's true. Okay. So this is an OCO order, guys. Oh my God, you're silly people. Don't ring me at this hour. Every single day I'm on air at this hour. Every single day, yet people ring me. Goodness me.
Maybe it's your fans, mate.
It's actually my wife,
out,
and
Jeff?
she does know better.
Well, it is your fan.
Sometimes. Depends on what day of the week and what time of night. Okay, so there's your stop entry for the short is 1.2917, and the stop loss for the short is 1.2972. Okay, it's an OCO, as I said. If one triggers, cancel the other, and we will go from there. As soon as we get triggered, we trail it to selling bars if we're selling, to buying bars if we're buying. Right, mate, what you got?
Yeah, so I would strongly recommend everybody buys up the FTSE here. You'll have to stop sharing. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, is that something I can do? Yes, I can. Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, now it is right on top of that daily pivot, but if it clears that daily pivot, it's got some open water now. We are looking for potentially a 90 to a 200 pip run. So anything between 100 and 200 pips is our target really with the FTSE 100. So that's that, you know, and at this stage, I'd be looking at this shorter term time frame to be putting stops. So when you look at your UK 100, yes, you need it to clear the daily pivot, and if you like, you can wait for it to come up and back again, and I suspect it probably will do that, considering the lack of confidence that we've had in this market. But the stop is going to be under this area here. So if that's at 71.66, I've put mine down at 71.60 just to give it a little bit of room. I really like this this particular trade. So that's why I'm quite happy to give it just a little bit of room to bob around a little bit here. And obviously, as I say, if it takes out this high, then it's got some open water, and that open water should see us right up to around about 100 pips to the upside. So you're risking around about 30 for a 100 pip run. So it could be a 3-to-1. Now, I wouldn't probably want to stay in with too much left on the table after that. I'd like to see if it can get up to this monthly pivot one more time, close the gap. But there's a chance we get up here, retrace, and then possibly get the new entry to see if it's going to go a little bit further. Now, if when it approaches this area, it looks like it's going to explode to the upside, I'm saying when. But if or when it approaches this area and it looks like it's going to explode to the upside, then we can leave things go. But let's see if we can get to this point first, which is around about the 72.91, 72.95 level, something like that. And if we can get to that point first, then we can check out to see the price action up here and see if it's likely that we continue moving up, or whether we are likely to fail at that particular juncture. The other thing is that we probably would want to get stops to break even as soon as possible, and we can probably do that as soon as it breaks through this daily pivot and potentially goes up, closes above, and comes back and tests it. Then hopefully we'll have an area which will be a new low, so we can start shoving stops pretty tight after that. So we can I'm probably going to use the trailing stops on a 15-minute chart to manage the trade, which will give this a little bit of room. But if it does pop up there, then I'll be looking at the price action to potentially close the whole trade down, or at least take the majority off if we get there. So looking for around about a 1.5% gain, mate, after the obliterating near 4% loss yesterday.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
And you and I have been talking about this. I'm not sure if this is our third or fourth week saying that the market hasn't yet reacted to coronavirus, and it appeared over the weekend that actually moved up a gear,
Yeah.
or maybe 2 gears, and we saw markets sell off in a substantial manner, 3-4% in some cases. You're not suggesting that's going to change, are you? You're looking for as you say, a relief rally here.
Yeah.
Is it necessary to have one, or are the fundamentals so strong right now, or has that changed overnight?
Do you know, mate, that's a really good question. The thing that I am looking at right now, there's a few factors that suggest to me that there will be a little bit of relief here. The first thing is that futures markets certainly have a bit of a limit of the amount that they can they will allow things to go down. So brokers will have a bit of a limit of the amount that they will allow things to go down before they shut down markets and recalibrate the levels. And even though they would have had chance now, they've had 24 hours really to recalibrate the levels. I think this is probably the first point where they'll start a recalibration of particular levels. So I think that could increase the chance of a bounce. The other thing is that the movement to the upside has been extremely strong. So when it comes down to people trying to pick up a bargain, then they're going to be looking certainly in this area first, because this is a weekly chart. And if we look at this weekly chart, then we have, if we consider this area back here, that was the area of resistance. We broke through that resistance, creating us a higher high, and then this area gave us a higher low. So to really keep going. So all that's going on really right now with this bar is that it's in motion. And while it's in motion, I think there's a pretty good chance that that it's going to at least try and get back to back to safety. Early this week. If it was Friday, different story. But because it's only Tuesday, I suspect it's going to at least attempt to get back into this area and see if the move to the upside can continue. Now, there's no guarantee or no mandatory requirement for it to do that. Really, to your point, does it have to move back to the upside? Absolutely not. Do we have to have a relief rally? Absolutely not. But I do think there was probably a lot of overreaction when the market opened up after a weekend of news and speculation about the coronavirus. So I'm just looking to see whether that overreaction might get a bit of relief now. When I look at these shorter term timeframes, I also do have a trend that has started. This was my resistance point on the hourly. There's my high. We're through that high and we've come back and tested it. So I'm just looking now to see whether we actually do have the first leg of an uptrend on the hourly. Now, there's no prediction that this is going to turn into an uptrend on the longer term time frames. The 4 hourly still massively in trouble down here. The daily is in a bit of bother as well, and it does look like that might have started a trend to the downside. But even when we look at this area that needs testing, that looks like it's a good 60 or 70 pips away. So I would have thought it would at least attempt to come back up here, and we've got this gap. So there's a few reasons that would suggest to me that, technically speaking, there is likely to be an attempt to move higher. Now, if you hold stocks and people are buying stocks in this area and you want to get out, then it is unlikely that you will choose to sell here when there's a chance that you could sell up here. Now, rationality obviously comes, does go out the window when you're in panic. All you want to do is sell. Just think, every little twitchy move, you just want to get out. But that's also an aspect here that even the bears want a better price to the upside than it is right now. So I would suspect that there probably will be a bounce here, and it's then just a question of how significant and could there be something else that could change that when it's on its way up.
I think what you're saying, and I'm exactly the same, is yes, we do have an issue. But is coronavirus the only game in town, is the question I ask myself. And the answer I have to give is there's no such thing as the only game in town for me. Because if there is only one game in town, I might as well leave town, and not come back until it's all over.
Yes, good point. Yeah.
So I totally get that if there's an absolute wave that says I've got to catch it, then people are going to jump on that. I don't think I've ever wanted to do that, and I don't know that I ever will, because I'm really not here to play one innings. I'm here to play the whole test match.
Yes.
It's not a matter of me getting as much as I can out of the market in 1 day or 2 days or whatever the case may be. So for me, it will be business as usual, and every trade is going to be different, because, and Paul spoke yesterday on the way he will trade it. He will trade it with every opportunity he gets to trade once an event establishes itself, I think are the words that he used.
Yeah.
So, and I totally get that. That's just not me. And I'm probably seeing the same thing in you. You're looking for things that you do every single day to show you the way here, rather than just trade the event.
Yeah, absolutely right, mate. And yeah, you bang on. And actually, I really like your cricket analogy of it being a test match rather than a 1 day event, because when it comes down to it, this is, we're on a daily chart here. And look where it stopped. This was the previous low. Look where yesterday closed, right on that low. So and I'm going to bring up a weekly chart as well. This is the weekly chart. Definite support, definite support, definite support, definite support, definite resistance. So this particular level has been going on well over a year. So even if we have the event that we've had, which we obviously do, and all we do is trade technicals. Let's forget about events and data and fundamentals for right now. All we do is trade on levels. I would argue that this is probably the best level on this chart right now. So to not go long here when you've got an hourly chart, which has now given you a higher low, when we're not to not go long on a longer term time frame, i.e. the weekly, when the hourly chart has given you this higher low, I think would be going against what we are trained to do as traders. You know, trading is about.
I'll show you another example of that in a minute when I do some analysis. But it's, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly the way I feel.
Because we are you know, we're about risk, aren't we? This is all about risk, and the higher the risk, the greater the reward. The fact that we've had such a huge dive to the downside should create volatility. You know, it has created volatility yesterday, but you know, only one of two things. Well, I suppose one of three things could happen today. It may end up going nowhere. But I really like these down days when there's a chance that they could be followed by something of a bit of upside, because that upside tends to be a bit more overpronounced than it probably should be. And we do have some pretty good levels here, and a good level, 100 pips in a day on the FTSE is a pretty good grab. So if we can get that, then I'm going to be more than happy to take the profit, and maybe that'll be it for me for the month. I don't know, but I think that there is.
Talking to me, Ash.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
What's that?
You said maybe that's me for the month. And I said, you're talking to me now. Come on.
Well, yeah.
If there's a big balloon sitting there, you'll snap at it.
Yeah. Well, that is true. That is true. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at. But as I say, mate, I think your analogy of the longer term is right on the money. And when we look at longer term timeframes to get trade ideas, the longer term timeframes are telling us that this is a buy zone, and we have a higher low on an hourly. Why wouldn't we take it? That would be my question. Why wouldn't we take it? Because you can be out there going, yeah, but you got the coronavirus, and the counter argument is always, yeah, but how do you know what the big players are doing, and how do you ever know? Yes, we get fundamental. You know, everything that I do is based on a fundamental. So is based on fundamental speculation, but it's, you know, you can't really know, especially with an event like this, what is going to go on. But you can certainly look at the chart and say, well, people are buying now. People have started buying. Otherwise, you couldn't have a higher low. So if they've started buying and I'm in a really good buy zone, I want to be on board. So that's a reason to take the trade here.
It's why we love trading. I think it's very much an individual journey, yes, but the bigger picture brings all sorts of things into focus. Like we spoke yesterday on a completely different theme, basically. And because we're in this community of traders and sharing different ideas, I think that's it. Really, I love it for that reason, because we get to see things that sometimes we just aren't looking at. And we need to focus on those things that we need to be looking at, obviously. And, you know, from your point of view and my point of view, that's always going to be fundamental. Well, me, technicals backed up by fundamentals, you fundamentals backed up by technicals. Yes. I like it that way.
Yes, absolutely right. Good morning, LT, by the way. Do you want my chart of the day, or do you want to just give us what you've, you know, because as we're on this subject, do you want to show us what you were going to talk about?
Mate, give me a chart of the day. I've only got a few things to show from the majors, and of course our guest will be in about 15 minutes or so. So yeah, go. And I don't trade the first candle of London. So
great. Okay. Well, it's not really the chart of the day, but this for me is the opportunity off the back of this stuff. Now, I really like the CAD. I really like the look of the CAD. I like the data from Canada, and when I saw the move to the downside that we got off the back of the coronavirus, then that suggested to me that the CAD is going to get to he's getting close to a level where there would be a really good buying opportunity. Now, oil will normally start to rally at this time of the year. You know, it's due a pretty heavy rally, and obviously with this situation that we've got going on globally, oil has not been able to get out of the traps. It's tried, but then it's got curbed by further events that you know that we all know about. Now, if oil is oil's only 12%. In fact, I say only. Oil's makes up around about 11 to 12% of GDP in Canada, so it's a big deal. And we know the yen is a safe haven. So with with those two aspects going on, because Japan hasn't had great data. The last GDP readout of Japan was pretty dire, and that may well suggest that economy is in a bit more trouble. So to look at it as a safe haven, I think right now may not be the best option for us. And if we allow the dust to settle a little bit, which we probably will need to do, and see if there's other companies that are claiming to have a cure for corona, or whether the curve of corona is starting to weaken, the spread of corona is starting to weaken, whatever it is. But as soon as we get a hint that the world is no longer under too much pressure and no longer fearful, then I would suggest that the yen would be a decent one to sell off. And if I am looking for an opportunity to do that, I really like this Canadian dollar yen trade, and it looks to me like it's already in a buy zone. I'm going to check out some of the other levels, but that's already in a buy zone, and you can see that it's held here. Check in the shorter term time frames. It has managed to hold that first level on the hourly charts. It did create a higher low, and it looks to me, a higher high. I don't know whether we've got a higher low as yet, but if this bar starts to look like it may well give us some sort of hammer down here, then I think that may well be the trade of the day. And if not trade of the day, then the trade of the week. And if we look at it on longer term time frames, liking it also on the weekly chart, it could come down a bit further. There's no two ways about that, but it could it might struggle a little bit here. But let's watch this for the day and see what's likely to happen. Let's bring up some pivots as well, just quickly.
What do we need to see to get oil off its? And I haven't had a look at oil today, I've got to say, but has it steadied, or is it still tumbling?
Let's have a quick look at oil as well. Monthly pivot looks like a decent place. It certainly looks like we've got some a slowing down in the downward momentum. So this is slowing for sure, but we don't really have a buy signal, so that's not ready to go yet. But I really like the CAD yen. Let's have a quick look at WTI. Looks like WTI might be making a little plump to try and get back to the upside, mate. Already got on the hourly chart a higher high and higher low, and maybe another one coming in, which is going to coincide with this daily pivot. So I guess for the day, oil holds around the daily pivot mark, then that's going to look like a fairly attractive trade. So let's watch oil as our barometer for the CAD. But oil starts to pick up, then I would suspect that we could see some upside with the Canadian dollar as well.
Apart from technically, was there a reason, obviously late in US session there from that chart, that we got a bounce? Or was it purely technical? It looks technical, but
it does look technical, mate. As far as I'm aware, the States were offline yesterday, weren't they?
Oh, were they?
Was there a holiday in the United States yesterday? It seemed to be a pretty quiet market for data.
I don't know. As I say, I'm out of town, so I wasn't trading after we finished. So I really don't know.
Let's have a quick look. So on Forex Factory, it is saying, bank holiday. Sorry, in Japan, not the States. So Japan had a bank holiday yesterday, but the States didn't, by the looks of that.
No, I'm pretty much always aware before I go into a trading zone that there's a US holiday, and I'm pretty sure yesterday was definitely not one.
Do you know what's interesting though is that I had a look back at some numbers because I'm not sure who it was who said it, but they were saying and there's some weak data from America. They were telling me there's weak data from America, so I had a look back at some of the numbers. The numbers are pretty good.
They're okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
wasn't me then.
It wasn't you, mate. No. but it wasn't you. I can't remember who it was, but somebody was telling me that they were really bad numbers from the United States, and there was one bad read, one. And it wasn't that bad. It was a little bit suspect.
You
but
probably read it in one of those headline things that you see all over the place.
Probably did. Yeah, probably. It was probably somebody, a commentator on Bloomberg or something, that was making a case for the bearish side, as the market had already tanked to its lows. But the numbers aren't too bad. The numbers from the United Kingdom aren't too bad. So when I look around of what's going on, I think the impact and the reaction yesterday was overinflated, and we'll find our level. And it may well be that the level's down here, but I suspect that this will start out as a bit of a relief rally, and then find an area that it's comfortable saying this is the new price that we are working from. So yeah, I guess a little bit down to technical, but I think a little bit also down to the fact that 24 hours managed to clear the head, and people started getting back to maybe what was fundamentally driving the market that was before. But as I say, that may change. You can see the market's a lot quieter today. The movement that we've got is pretty so far is pretty quiet. We're not really getting a great deal of movement off any of these charts. It hasn't really moved a lot. So maybe we're just starting to settle down into a wait and see. This is the S&P right now, just stuck around about the daily and a monthly pivot. Might try and get down to the lows one more time, but I wouldn't really be looking for the market to tank today. Maybe at worst we've got a hold, but I'm still looking for a bit more upside before we.
Not really in drivers scheduled either, are there? It's pretty quiet news day, I think.
It's very quiet, actually. Quiet. Looks like a pretty quiet week from what I can see. Just bringing that up right now. We've got where's that gone? Let's have a quick look. We have got up next final GDP from Germany came in at 0. That's pretty dire. But that's at 0. So then they're not growing at all. We got the 10-year bond auction, won't be of any interest. House price index from the United States would be good for some sectors, but nothing major. Consumer confidence. This is going to be quite an important number. The CB consumer confidence. So we'll look at that at 3 o'clock. But aside from that, Richmond manufacturing index. I guess that's only one place, but look at that. Even that was the last read on the Richmond manufacturing index. Now I know this is floating around quite a lot, but that's not suggesting an economy that's slowing down. Even though forecast is to come down to 10, so that's going to be something that would be of interest to watch. Nothing really on Wednesday. Crude oil inventories. Now this might be a driver tomorrow. We start to see those.
Yeah, that might be.
Come off a little bit, then maybe we see a little bit of upside in gold. Business confidence out of New Zealand, so maybe we should have a look at that at some point in the near one as well. Current account from Canada. Orders from the United States. So I guess we start to see that's backwards looking anyway, isn't it? Manufacturing transport. That could be of interest at the minute. I think these smaller numbers might be of interest right now, mate. Just to kind of get an idea of what could be coming. But you look at them, and even the small number, even the numbers that we have aren't anything. Even for the week, nothing major. I think this could be interesting as well. GDP out of Canada month on month. If that puts in a decent figure, and there is an opportunity to get along the CAD, and people are able to get on board with that, that could be a decent driver to the upside, as long as we don't get any further unfolding of this corona situation. So still will be the CAD yen for me, mate, and I can't see anything so far anyway this week that would change my mind on that.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a CAD fan. Got no problem with the yen, so I might take a look at that as well. Absolutely, why not? Mate, it's nearly 1:30. I better have a look at some charts, should I?
Yes, you better do. Here you go. Let me stop sharing for you.
Righto. Now here comes a shock straight out of the bat, and it is, and I can't believe I'm saying this to myself, But I am actually, well, I'm not long yet, but I have an order long the euro. Can you see my charts yet? Because I can't see anything, obviously.
Can't see them yet. No. Just got your name.
Okay. There we go. There's take two.
Here we are. Yeah, that's better.
You should have my desktop. Now you've got my my euro dollar chart, yeah?
Yes.
Righto. So the order that I do have in the market is long above this bar here at, what's the level? I can't quite recall. That was this morning. And I can't get my calipers. There we go. The level is 108.70. 75 will be my entry. And the stop loss is at 108.22. And as I said, I can't believe I'm actually saying that I'm long the euro, but as we flagged, and I think we spoke about this on Sunday in the show, we've got an absolute last port of call here as far as I'm concerned for the euro. Last port of call because I think if this support level doesn't hold, and that's not going to help us, I'm trying to give you guys the bigger picture here. There, that's a bit better. We're currently on this level here, which has been strong support here in the past. I'm on a monthly chart here, so you can see that this is a level that has been adhered to. We haven't been able to get below it there, then crashed through it, came back to it, etc., etc. So I think this is the last straw, if you like, in the euro's journey short for a time. Now, I've got a channel coming through here. We're not quite at the bottom of it, but very, very close to it. And if we are going to bounce, now's the time that that's going to happen. So on that basis, I can totally get that. And if we are going to bounce, we're going to go back to a resistance level. First resistance level that I've got is probably the trend line. If you dismiss the intraday resistance areas, and I guess to some degree the weekly resistance areas, but I totally see this level up here. And that's it there. So I'm thinking 109.50 to 110 is where we're likely to bounce if that is going to be a continuation. So this is a little bit of a breakout, I suppose, but I do see it on the 4-hour chart as a break and retest of the immediate resistance trend line. So break, retest. The high risk trade would have been to take it from there. That's not the way I trade, as you know. So I'm more than happy to take the entry if we do go above this level. And the target is fairly substantial. I think we've got about 4.5 to 1 on this if it comes off, as I measured this morning. Yeah, it's about 50 pips. No, not quite 3 to 1. Not quite that even, 2.5 to 1. That's what I was looking at. So if you're interested in following that one, the entries and stop loss I've given you before. But this goes to exactly what you're saying, Ash. The extremely strong momentum for the longest time has been down here. We broke through the most obvious support level, which is this one here, and really didn't retest it the way I would like to see a retest happen. But the candle that we put in, if you like, this spinning top near hammer, but it's a spinning top really, indicates that the market has slowed, no question. And really, I'd normally look for a significant higher low in that area. And maybe I am a little bit early here, to be fair. Maybe the higher low comes as a retest of the weekly pivot. So maybe I am a little bit early here. If I am, then obviously I hope I don't get taken in and we do get that and we can look to trade it from there. But I see the opportunity, and 2.5 to 1 is not so bad. So
are you short the dollar there, mate, or long euro? Have you got a kind of a basis except for the technicals that you're looking at, or is it purely a technical trade here?
Yeah, I was going off the dollar index actually, and the dollar index has been rallying to a very strong high point, and it has come off that in the last couple of days. Whether it can go further is questionable, of course, and we haven't heard a lot out of the Fed lately. The FOMC meetings minutes of last week had a little bit of an impact, but I just got this feeling that the the come off the top, if you like, of the dollar index is probably got a little bit more in it. Tough to be bullish the euro. So the answer is no, I'm not bullish the euro. I am a little bit bearish the dollar.
Yeah.
Short term only. You know, I don't want to trade beyond these resistance level.
Yeah.
The euro, because I think this gives us a selling opportunity up here, not a buying opportunity. So really, it's, I guess, an opportunistic trade, very similar to what you're talking about on the FTSE. If we can get the relief rally, then I think it's tradable. There is a little bit of reward there for us. But as soon as we get to here, I'll be looking for shorts.
Yeah, yeah. So, these ideas, just to kind of reiterate to the guys, these ideas will be. We've got just right now. Jeff has posted a trade long on the euro. He's also done a pound trade this morning. I am long the FTSE, and I posted in the long the FTSE last night into what's the area called? On
the online trading profits group.
Online Trading Profits group, which is in the Telegram group, guys. So if you want Jeff and I's 5-minute brief, which will give you ideas after the market is closed, and Jeff trades some of the miners, which he does post onto his 5-minute brief as well, or 2-minute brief, whichever it's called. Then you will see those ideas. So go to the Online Trading Profits on Telegram, and you'll be able to sign up to get what we are looking for after we finish this show. Really, we will give you everything that we have during the show, but there are obviously ways that we are managing the trades and taking other opportunities, which, as I say, I did overnight, which I posted in the Telegram group, and Jeff is doing the same.
Not only that, everything that we're doing around this show and everything that Actions to Wealth are offering, and all of little bits and pieces that we don't get to show you guys in the shows will be posted in there. There's lots of things happening in the Online Trading Profits Telegram group. So you got to get yourselves in there, guys. It's free. Get in there and you will get all the information that you don't see in these shows.
Yeah. So let's quickly talk about the pound, mate, because the pound is another one that I have to say, I'm pretty bullish the pound, you know, in a on a longer term perspective.
It's not me that's talked you into that, is it?
No,
you do have a reason other than that, don't you?
I do, mate. Do you know what? I like the I really like the numbers that are coming out from the United Kingdom right now. I think. Where do we get the link for the Telegram group? This is what Jeff and I were talking about before. Where do they get the link, Jeff?
You go into the Telegram group. You go into Telegram and you search for.
I'll post it in YouTube and discussions in about 2 minutes, guys.
There you go.
Happy days.
I'm on my way now.
Good man. Thanks, mate.
Ash, can you tell me when our guest arrives as well, please? Because I can't see anything there.
We are looking at.
Guest's been in for a while, yeah.
Okay, happy days. And that's not Paul Bottrell, ladies and gentlemen. Ash, continue and I'll introduce our guest in just a tick.
Okay, yeah, just to reiterate really that I was looking for a bit lower with the pound, but I have to say that the numbers are looking pretty good, and we've got to be careful because the budget is due out. I think Paul was saying to us that it was on the 11th of March, so that budget is likely to give us a bit more upside with the pound, and the numbers have held up pretty well. So I think the pound is it would be a currency pair. Sorry, not a currency pair. A currency that I would be pretty bullish on right now. Now, finding what to trade it against, in my opinion, is probably quite simple in many respects. I think we can look at the yen.
I don't Aussie, yen, Kiwi, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be trading it against the dollar personally, but I think against the yen it looks like a pretty good plump, and maybe even the euro. If those numbers continue to be muted, then I don't see why the euro wouldn't be good. The only problem with the euro pound trade is that it is at a significant support level on the longer term timeframes. So yeah, I like the pound, mate. The pound would probably be, along with a CAD, the currency of choice for me right now.
Happy days, mate. I'm not against either one of those. Timing, of course, is going to be everything, and let's keep our eye on the prize, I suppose. Folks, it is and has gone, and I do apologise, we're a little bit over time for this. It has gone 7:35 in Sydney, Australia, which is 8:35 a.m. in the UK, and 4:35 a.m. in Hong Kong and Singapore. That's the time that we normally introduce a guest to the show, and today is no exception, and it is my very great pleasure to introduce today the founder and CEO of Fusion Markets. It's a very good evening in my case to Phil Horner. G'day, Phil.
G'day, how you going?
Mate, having a wonderful time.
Oh, that's great. Well, nothing pleases me more than seeing the Fusion Markets platform up there.
Oh, I put that up there. My mistake. Damn.
Oh, mate. Yeah, it's still humbling nonetheless.
I have to say, Phil, Ash here, by the way. Good to meet you, buddy. I have to say, Jeff started using these yesterday, and he was waxing lyrical about it. He loves it. He's
fantastic.
He's had a few problems.
Hang on, mate. We're talking to a broker here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ease off a little bit.
Exactly. Well, if we don't get too many compliments, unfortunately, in the broking game, it's quite a lot of yelling at, and we just take that in our stride. So it's
you got a fan. You've got a fan.
Mate, if you answer the next questions in the right manner, then I'm sure I'll give you a kudos at the end of them.
Perfect.
Mate, of course, you're really no stranger to a lot of us, because, in particular in the ATW family, because of the time you spent at previous brokers. For those of you, or for those of you in the room who aren't familiar with Phil and are a stranger to him, I'm going to ask him now to tell us what really is the Phil Horner story, or the road to Fusion Markets, and how that looks. What does that actually look like, mate? How did you get there?
Yeah, so it starts. Geez, how do you sort of boil down 11 years into a couple of sentences? But started 2009 at a little company called AxiTrader. It was actually known by a different name at the time. 6 people.
Pardon my interruption, but that seems like a very timely exit at the moment. They're not in a real good space, are they?
No, exactly. I kind of come to that in a moment as well, because
yeah, sure.
Yeah, so yeah, early 2009, sort of 6-7 people. I had literally, I traded stocks before. I had no idea what I was doing in the markets, and got excited by trading in the early parts. And if you cast your mind back to 2009, that was the pretty much the low of the stock market. And I remember a lot of people telling me at the time, like, why the hell would you go into financial markets? The world's ending. What a terrible career choice. And I always try and do something a little bit different. And if people tell me I can't do something, that's something that I excel at.
Sounds like a familiar thing. Yep, good.
Yep. And so yeah, actually grew. One of the first MT4 brokers in Australia, and had a pretty good product offering. I learned a lot from working there, and was there for about 5 or 6 years. And 2014 was kind of the year that I'd left, and there was a volatility drought, and actually almost went through some pain during that period. When volatility dries up for brokers, it's pretty hazardous for them, particularly because they've got generally high cost bases, and they can't make money. So yeah, I kind of went through a bit of a difficult period there at the end of Axi, and then I went through all this personal stress, and then I was going to move to London, and then all of a sudden this job at a company called Pepperstone came up in Melbourne. So
you were saved the ultimate worst decision of your life, going to London.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Well, you haven't looked back. I still want to live in London for one point in my life. I keep telling my wife it's got to be done at some point, maybe for a summer. But
I think so.
Here's the place. There's the time to come to the UK. Yeah, the summers are brilliant actually in the UK, but the winters are grim.
You'll laugh at this. I seem to never make it to London in the summer. I'm always there in the winter, especially January.
Yeah.
It just seems to be the time that I end up there, and it's very dark and very cold. But I kind of like it because you just don't get that kind of cold here in Melbourne or really Australia. So it's a nice change. But yeah, that probably seems crazy to you. But yeah, so 2015 moved to Melbourne to become general manager of Pepperstone. And I'm not sure if you know the Pepperstone story, but a couple of young guys, Owen and Joe, and they taught me a lot. Very young guys, and sort of handed the keys to me at a pretty early point in time, and they sort of took a step back from the business. And at that point, I always had wanted to start a broker, and one of the reasons for moving to Melbourne is I thought Pepperstone were the best at the time, and I thought that's the best place that you could learn, and potentially take my skills back to Sydney and start a broker. And then, as life would have it, you get pretty comfortable and you get to a CEO position, and then it all starts to go really well, and then you forget about your sort of your dream in the back of your head. And then the universe sort of gives you this big sign, and Pepperstone sold a bit of their business to private equity, and a bit of a business change there and a strategy change. And so I decided to part ways in the end of 2017, and then spent a year on a gardening leave where I couldn't work, and had a
whoa. Gardening leave.
Gardening leave, yeah, it's a thing. It's very common in finance. It's where they sort of pay you to sit on your backside for a year, as long as you don't work in the industry. So
nice.
So I spent.
I mean, the reason's obviously not nice, but yeah.
No, exactly. Well, as literally the day after I left Pepperstone, we found out that we were pregnant and having a baby boy, and at the same time you kind of go, shit, how am I going to afford that? Versus, but at the same time going, oh well, I'll get to be around to be a full-time dad for a little bit. So, good things happen, and the universe works for you. And
yeah.
I couldn't work during that period of time, but in my head, I was thinking of, all over the years, basically, I wanted to start a broker. And, I think the universe gives you these signs to do what you love, and you just got to sort of open your eyes and look at what was probably a terrible time to look at the good side and make something of it. So, yeah, Fusion's been around now for 8 or 9 months trading live, and we spent a bit longer than that sort of building the technology.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and so it's been great ever since. So it's really exceeded way past where I thought we would be at this point in time, and we can come on to the reasons for that. But that's 11 years in God, how many minutes?
Yeah,
that's amazing, mate.
Couple.
Can I just ask a quick question of what you just were talking about before? What you were saying about volatility and the fact that you had a volatility glut effectively, which affected the AxiTrader profit line.
Yeah.
As traders, we also need volatility.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is the link between what you were saying and the link between where traders need it as well. I mean, because it would suggest that with a lack of volatility and a broker doing fairly badly, then that would suggest that some of the traders might have been doing a bit better than they should have been.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think look at the sort of the dangerous times in the markets is just look at Euro last year, right? I mean, it was basically not moving for a large period of time. FX volatility at sort of 5-6 year lows, and nothing really moving. And I know a lot of brokers are sort of not struggling, but the European regulations and the lowering of leverage has certainly affected quite a few brokers. And I think it's the easy days of making money as a broker are over, to be honest with
really?
you. And a lot of people, when I was on my break, said, you should leave the industry, mate. Like this thing's not going to be what it was. And that's music to my ears. Again, I love doing what people, if the crowd's going this way, then you should go the other way. That's how I work as a trader too. I think
actually sounds like our type of guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, but were people just not trading at that time? Was that the problem? If was because as I say, as a trader, you need volatility to kind of get opportunity. So does that mean people just weren't trading, or were they just holding positions?
It's really a bit of both. Like it's more just sort of a chipping away, because people are just sort of trading the range. It's kind of up here, down there, and up here, and you really need sort of those big moves for people to do, to start taking the market a little bit with a bit more risk, and sort of increasing the volume a little bit. So volume dries up. It's most of the time. It's kind of to be honest, in some ways it reminds me a little bit of the mining industry. You sort of the brokers are a bit like the miners, and they only spend in the good times, and then they kind of get caught with their pants down when commodity prices are down, and then the cycle keeps repeating. So I see a lot of similarities between their industry and the sort of the boom bust cycle that you see out of brokers. And I know a lot of brokers are having a bit of trouble this over the last sort of year or so, combining ESMA and the leverage changes and the lack of volatility. But 2020 has been great so far in terms of volatility. Euro's moving, gold's moving. There's plenty on.
Would you say that the birth of the way that people are now mining for news, i.e., social media, and the instantaneous nature of getting news and data helps with the fact that we are seeing a pickup in volatility and movements in markets?
I don't know. Like it's because there was things that were moving last year in some ways, but this year sort of drummed home for me at least, and obviously everyone will have a different experience. But like pound obviously moved a lot last year, but it really just becomes how big is the euro, and like the euro move from say like breaking 110 has been just the interest. The amount of accounts open, the volume has just gone like through the roof, and it just shows how powerful euro dollar is because people would just gobble it up.
I know some traders that have been pretty badly beaten up by the way the euros move.
Yes, absolutely. Because if everything if it keeps going in a range for like in and out, and then all of a sudden it breaks that, people it kind of breaks people's psyche, and they go, how can this happen? And they keep fighting it. Similar to Aussie. I mean, I can't talk. I'm stuck in a long on Aussie dollar, thinking she's going to come back, but could be very wrong here because it was ranging, and then I'm looking at it and I'm going, the corona thing isn't so bad, and then the market can give you a bloody nose, can't it? So
this is the thing. So you're like every other trader that sits there and almost convinces yourself that whatever news and data is released actually meets your criteria.
Confirmation bias. Yeah, exactly. I do a lot of writing for on that sort of the topic of psychology, because I don't think it's covered enough for traders, because confirmation bias is such a huge one. And you're always looking for the headlines of things that support your point of view, and I think that's it's so dangerous. And where I normally think I'm contrarian, I've just been completely smashed into a trap on Aussie. And you've also got home country bias as well. I'm kind of like, come on Aussie, like it'll go back up, but it's well, you never know how it's going to turn out, but it's not going well so far.
Yeah, I got over that one years ago. That's why I moved to Tasmania, mate. Simple as that.
Exactly. That's not part of Australia.
and proud of it.
Exactly.
Mate, let's come back to your products. I'll bring you back there for a second. In fact, we'll probably talk about that for a little bit now. Your mission statement, or your mantra, which I like very much, is, I think I've got it here somewhere. You guys can see my screen, I hope.
Well, I can tell you, it's sort of drummed into my head. So it's our vision is to provide access to the world's markets easier, faster, and a lower cost than what exists in the market today. So that's kind of.
Hang on. There's more. We aren't just satisfied with being a low-cost provider. We want to permanently change traders' expectations of their broker.
Yes.
How's that vision tracking? And I'm one of those people you're talking about.
Yep.
And what in real terms does it actually mean to your customers?
Yeah, for sure. So step one is when we launch is to really just get the basics right. So we know anyone can just be a low cost place to trade. Tomorrow, brokers in their desperation might just drop the commissions to zero. I mean, look at stock trading in the US, right? Everything's at zero. So there's no edge in just being the cheapest place to trade. So that's kind of the step one. Step two is to make sure you've got really strong incentivization with your team around client satisfaction and solving queries really fast and using technology as much as you can, and having the hindsight now to build something from scratch, and seeing what's worked and what hasn't worked in sort of 11 years in the market at other places gives you a bit of a leg up as to what works. So in terms of how it's tracking, like we're growing by triple digits each month, and we haven't spent really anything on marketing, and it's mostly been word of mouth. I mean, I've been really surprised by all sorts of places all around the world, just opening accounts, and you kind of just go, wow. Obviously the model that we have, like trying to save people and trying to be the world's lowest cost broker, it does resonate. And I think the main difference from running a broker from one to the next is the clients are a lot stickier, because there's so much of an element of switching between MT4 brokers. One goes here, then the next goes here. You're always looking for sort of a cheaper place to go to. And that's been good for us, is that people see the commission and go, yeah, well, $4.50 versus $7.50. Why would I trade? Why would I pay $3 more?
Mhm.
So it's still early days, and we're nowhere near where I think we're capable of. But from here, we're spending sort of the majority of our money on developing cooler tools for our client portal. So things like an economic calendar is coming soon, new funding methods. We want to try and do a like trading analytics part, so that people can track their performance a little better. So there's lots of stuff that we're working on right now that by the end of 2020 I think we'll have a really good offering for people, and not just be the cheapest broker, if that makes sense.
I understand, and to be absolutely fair, most brokers actually will advertise that they're the cheapest on the planet or whatever, and they can do the best deals, etc., etc.
Exactly.
From a trader's point of view, and I consider myself to be one, that really isn't what I'm looking for. What I'm really looking for is execution. And I really, and Ash spoke about it before, and I will say something after you've spoken.
Yeah.
How do you rate your own execution?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm really pleased to hear that that's an important thing for you. So one of the things that I didn't really mention is that I'm the face of Fusion, obviously, but the other owner of Fusion, the other 50%, is an institutional broker called Gleneagle Securities. And what that does is gives us a really tremendous opportunity, because most brokers are just using the same recycled liquidity providers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they have the similar spreads and execution. I know two very large Australian brokers who use the exact same liquidity provider. So you're going to get a very similar price, aren't you? And you're going to get the same slippage, because everyone's trying to drive a car through the tunnel at the same time.
Yep.
And there's a large Australian broker who you probably know that's infamous for showing such tight prices, 0.0 on everything, and appearing to be really tight, but that price is borderline false advertising, because it's only good for up to half a lot or one standard lot.
You're
of
very
trading.
kind with borderline, mate. You're very kind.
Yes, exactly. I don't believe in slagging off the competition, but we're catering to a more sophisticated trader. We don't spend too much time on holding people's hand through the markets per se, because most of our clients, they've been through the markets before. They know MT4, they know it's about good pricing, they know it's about execution. So that's one thing that we're slightly different. So just coming back to that point, our pricing uses what's called like a top of book price. So instead of one lot of trading, it's between 10 and 20 lots. So 1 to 2 million of notional value. So that means if you're ready to click buy or sell right now, what you see is what you get. So there's no deep slippage of one lot, and the other 9 lots are getting slipped at God knows what price. So that's more to cater for our client base right now, and not having to deal with constant complaints of slippage, because I know that's a it's a very common complaint. But that particular provider,
I've got a journal of them if you want to see them.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm hoping so far your journal's showing very positive results. And
mate, as I said before, I placed 2 trades on your platform yesterday. Both were executed to the 0.01 of a pip. So you can't do better than that.
Good.
Both winners, of course.
Of course. No losers here.
So yes, more than happy. If that continues to be the case, mate, you've got a friend in me.
Awesome. Thank you.
More than welcome, mate. I guess a couple of more questions, and I know we've run out of time, as we always do, because we just get into conversations that are so interesting.
Yeah.
And I hope the people that are listening are also interested in such things. One of the points, and Ash brought this up, and I think it's very valid. A lot of offers from brokers are really limited in the instruments that they do offer to trade. And one of the questions, and I guess we've all asked this to a certain degree over the years, the Chinese yuan, why isn't that on offer for any broker that I've ever seen anyway, as a trading option? And what, in your case, if any, are you going to offer outside of what is considered, I guess, to be the norm? In other words, the majors, the minors, and maybe,
So in terms of the Chinese yuan, so we do offer it. It's just under USD CNH, which is the offshore yuan. So the reason why is very few trade it. The spreads still aren't amazing. We're not at sort of euro dollar levels of 0.0 all the time. So that's probably why a lot of others don't offer it.
Is the pegging an issue with that? The fact that it's
correct.
Yeah. So
yeah, and like one I don't know if you remember, maybe it was like 2014 or 2015. I remember the yuan devaluation it was August 2015 because it was a really, really huge day, and all of a sudden they just changed the way that they sort of peg the yuan, and it was just free for all. And I think people just kind of got quite scared about that, and they don't want to be caught against the Chinese government and sort of the whims of that. And I think you also saw a bit of that with the trade war, didn't you? Because it was allowed to slip below 7, and it's a one-way bet depending on how the Chinese government want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you don't bet against the Fed, you don't bet against the PBOC. So that's probably why. And it's just not there yet. It's not a convertibility, and I think there's a reason why all of the central banks they don't hold too much of it. It's starting to get more popular in terms of as a global currency, but it's nowhere near the sort of convertibility or the liquidity of your euros or your yens or especially your dollars. So 10 years maybe. It's get too much of a macroeconomic picture, but early days.
Just so everybody understands that's listening, that the at 9:15, I believe it is, every morning, that the yuan is recalibrated to within a range within the dollar, and that is one of the reasons that you just don't get the volatility in something like that. I don't know why anybody would want to trade it, to be honest, even if the option was there.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we've got it on the platform.
Why'd you ask the question then?
that was somebody else, wasn't it? I'm sure somebody posted that last week, so we had to ask it.
Oh, is that what it was? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Well, hopefully that listener is here this week, and we've answered their dying question.
Yeah.
Did we get to, mate? And I'm sorry, I had to tune out there for about 2 seconds. And Ash, thanks for taking over. Did we get to, outside of the minors and majors, what have you got on offer for us in terms of instruments that we probably haven't been exposed to before?
I think we've got quite a few unique products in a lot of the metals. So copper, zinc, aluminium, a few things like that. There's not we've got a lot of the Scandies, but to be honest, it's and like any sort of market, it's like a power law. So you've got 100 products and only 20 of them ever really get traded, and that's just the way that it is, and that's partly due to liquidity, and that's partly just due to the wealth of information around the sort of the big G10 currencies and how much more available they are. So I mean, there's 120 different products on the platform, mostly currencies, usual indices, and we're hoping to launch the next products is probably going to be a large range of US and UK CFDs shares, I think, from here. So.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, I look forward to that.
Okay, great.
And also cryptos.
Sorry, Ash, you go.
Cryptos you got,
yeah,
right?
That's I was going to say.
Got cryptos, yeah. The difference with cryptos, and people get quite upset about it. The leverage isn't the same, so it's 1 to 2 leverage, so it's okay. It's double what you get in an exchange, but at the same time, it's it's the sort of the crypto days of 50 to 1. I know a lot of brokers were offering during that the crypto phase of 2017.
Are they still here?
No, I mean, like plus 500. I know were one of the biggest cryptos, and I think they had a pretty tough year that year because crypto has just kept going up and up and up. And I think a lot of brokers were sort of trying to market make on that stuff and just got absolutely pummeled. So everyone's a bit once bitten, twice shy, and doesn't give out the leverage that they used to, which is just madness. I mean, 50 to 1 on Bitcoin at those times was just, I remember at Pepperstone, there was, there was just so much interest. People. The guy selling, bringing in water jugs to the office was asking if we do crypto, and it's just it was it was just such a mania, wasn't it? So
oh yeah, I mean it's still, and I can see the Jeff and I we look at cryptos in the show, but we don't really trade it. But I can see the appeal completely.
absolutely.
Amazing volatility with stuff like that, and it continues to be the case. And I guess
right.
because it's not heavily traded yet, relatively speaking.
Yeah, that's right. I think it'll have its day. I think it's still trying to find its feet. I mean, it gets the odd interest here and there. Like if it, I think it's around 10,000 or something now, and people are sort of interested again because the news flashes up. But I mean, right now the biggest traded product by a long mile is gold. I mean, just every man and his dog's coming into trade gold at the moment. It's just unbelievable. I think yesterday's open on gold, I'm sure you watched it, was just insane.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be touching it up here personally. It's it's way overcooked, isn't it? And it's no doubt about it. It's got potential to go to maybe 1720 without too many problems if Corona continues. But anything flips around with something like that, I think this will come down pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, the funny thing is, it was going up before Corona, wasn't it? So
it was.
This is just puts a rocket under it, and no one can. I love that no one can really explain what the heck's going on. Maybe one day it's Corona, the next day it's inflation, the next day it's bombs.
Yeah.
No one. If everyone's saying that, then no one has a clue.
Yeah.
Phil, I've got to say to date, I love your work, mate. But
Thank you very much.
Here's something I do want to know, and probably what more so the people that are listening to this want to know. How and why are you teaming up with ATW?
Well, I've known Paul for close to a decade now. Would you believe, since the Axie days? So
you too, you poor bugger.
There's a lot of sharks in this industry. Let's be honest, as you guys know, and that's on both sides. There's a lot of sharks as brokers, and there's a lot of terrible educational providers. But too often it's just about short-termism and getting a quick buck. But I think one thing that Paul and I really agree on is actually genuinely wanting clients to do better. And no one believes that more than Paul. So just like you say, all the brokers offer this, they say the best this or that. I really do mean it with Paul. He wants what's best for traders, and he actually gives a damn and is trying to support them on an ongoing basis, and trying to flip that model and bring some light to the darkness that's been in there. Plus, we happen to support the All Blacks together, so that's a bonding thing too.
Well, I've got to say, at least you're on a winner.
Yeah, well, not last year, unfortunately. Not a good year for us. But
was that one out of how many?
Yeah, no, we missed. We won the two before that, but it's classic World Cup New Zealand, always having a bit of trouble.
Yeah, they kind of get over the Aussies, I've got to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
just a tad. Yeah,
trouble, right?
Oh yeah. It's not getting any better anytime soon, I don't think. Although the Brumbies beat the Chiefs, Paul will be very disappointed about that, I would imagine.
Yes, absolutely.
Mate, without putting
Let's move on. Leave that alone, thank you, gentlemen.
I knew he'd be there somewhere.
Exactly, he's chimed in.
Without putting on the spot, mates, with our guests, we really like to encourage them to treat our audience in some way or fashion. And again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but have you brought anything along, any goodies in the bag for our guests today, or that's you?
All right, well,
our audience today.
I am reluctant to give out bonuses, but especially when we offer such a low commission rate. But off the top of my head, and my team's probably going to kill me tomorrow, but if a client signs up this week via ATW through Fusion, I'll give you 20 free trades up to 20 lots. So it's about $90 of free commissions. How about that?
Nice.
That sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
New clients only, though. I'm afraid you're out.
Oh, bugger. I'm gone already.
I might start an account.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, you're in, Ash. We can pair up there.
There you go, Ash. You're going to rebate the comms.
Nice.
Now, guys, if you want to take advantage of that, and you haven't already done so, we've told you a couple of times throughout the show that you need to join. You need to join the group, the Telegram group, and that Telegram group can be found at Online Trading Profits, right? So that offer that Phil has just given you, I'm pretty sure will be up there very, very shortly if it's not there already. So get in there and take advantage of that. Phil, thank you so much for the offer.
Pleasure.
Can you repeat the offer once for me just to make sure I get it in there right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries. So it's 23 trades.
Yep.
Up to a maximum of 20 lots.
And when you say free, it's no fees?
No fees, no comms. So you're paying zero spread, no commission.
Wow.
Lovely.
Let's get you at a good start, shouldn't it? Okay, Phil, I'll get that out into the group pretty soon.
Now just saying it out loud, I'm already regretting it.
You're live on YouTube and it's recorded, so
yeah, can't go back.
You're the first broker that's ever given me an offer without a bottle of bourbon being drunk first.
Well, there you go. Well, it's still time. Where are you? Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Phil, mate, it's been a pleasure.
Come back.
And thank you so much for letting us into your what, from my point of view, now appears to be a very clean and crisp entry into the market. And I haven't had an exit yet, so I'll find out about the exit. So if they're executing the same as the entries, then I'm very happy chappy, mate. All the best with the brokerage, all the best with everything, and I hope those people who are listening have really understood exactly what Phil's saying. He's very much in the same boat as ATW. We want to make you guys into traders that are profitable long term.
Awesome. Mate, I look forward to coming back one day. Let me know if you want to shoot the breeze about the markets. I'm happy to chat.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
Nice, guys. So have a good rest of the evening and day. And thank you again.
Thanks,
Phil. Thank you so much, Phil.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, Phil. Thanks very much.
Righto, it is 10 minutes past the hour of 8 here. It's getting close to dinner time for me, but I think we better, Ash, have a little look at what the market's doing before we do that. We're trailing at the moment on pound US dollar. Because I've only got one screen, I'm unable to do that at the moment, but we are long the pound, so we should have cancelled our short, and we should be trailing on a 15-minute chart, 2 buying bars. We haven't even got one yet. But so our stops are still down here. When we get 2 buying bars, we put our stop underneath those bars. What else did we trade today, Ash? We traded the FTSE long.
We got the FTSE long. Everybody probably, if they put their stop 30 pips away from entry, they'd be stopped out of that right now. Still interested in the long though. So if it comes down to the low end of the point, then that may well create us a little triple bottom down there, and I'll be interested to see if we get any kind of short-term reversal. So I'll be looking at a 5-minute chart to see if we get a little pop to the upside on that. And it's no big deal if you get a lower price of entry, because it just means that you got it slightly cheaper. So I will be looking to re-enter the FTSE long, but I will probably post that in the Telegram group if that is to happen later on down the line.
Okay, and we haven't been triggered in the euro, and I still can't believe I'm saying it. The euro dollar long on a 4-hour basis, we are not triggered into that yet, but I do like the place it's coming from. I don't really like the entry point, but if it does go to here, I really do think it's going to here and then probably to here, and that's the basis of the trade. So there is potential here for reversal. I'm not calling reversal, but I am calling, as said before, a relief rally. And the relief rally, in my opinion, will likely go towards the 110 mark. And if we can be part of that, happy days. That is probably it from me today. Ash, I really enjoyed the interview with Phil. I think he's a stand-up bloke, and I think the product that he's got on offer is pretty damn good.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right, mate. And I, for one, will certainly be looking to open an account with him, and I mean that completely genuinely. I like his product range. I like his execution, and I think it's a really good spread on the offer as well. The UK 100 is a really good spread, and also the fact that he's going to offer some UK shares. I love to hear that from any broker. So I will be going there when I get the opportunity, mate.
And I think we'll have a little trial. I won't call it a beta test. I'll call it a trial in trying to trade the cryptos as well. Just with a little bit of a fun money, I suppose. Have a crack at that now that that's probably going to be on offer as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Sounds like fun, doesn't it?
It does. A lot of fun.
Before we go, next week, we've got, of course, on the Tuesday interview session, you know Zaha, don't you?
I certainly do. Very good trader.
Yeah, I know Zaha. In fact, if we go back a year and a half, I think it was the first time I met Zaha in Bali, and we walked up to this guy who was like muscle bound, like I've never seen. Well, I have seen before, and in Thailand, the lady boys look sometimes like that, but he's a heck of a guy, and he's really doing good things in his trading at the moment, and he's very, very consistent. He's done very, very well. Maybe it's since Bali. Maybe that's the reason he really kicked into gear. I'm not sure, but we're going to find that out next week.
Yeah, we'll find it out. I have a little bit of insider info on
do you?
how it happened, but
Okay.
but yeah, let's share it next week.
Well, that'll be your interview then. You can talk to
Sounds
Zaha,
good.
and I'll be the bad cop. You can be the good guy.
All right, that sounds good.
All right, the week after that, hang on.
Yeah. Go on.
You've got to get away, have you? You've got something.
No. You know, I'm just watching the clock, and we might.
I gathered that.
We're a bit over time. Not because I got to get away. You keep going. Go on.
Oh, good. The week after that, on the 10th of the 3rd, we're going to interview James Orr, who is the founder of a trading education company called Decisive Trading. I don't know if anyone in the room's heard of him, but the claims are by Decisive Trading that they're one of the largest trading education companies in the UK. I want to investigate that and see exactly what he's doing and how he's educating people, and if he's along the same lines as the Actions to Wealth group are. And we'll be, as we promised, we'll be exposing the audience to all sorts of things over the coming months with different traders and different operations, and hopefully we can get some insight into how he's training his group to make some money.
Sounds good. All right, you finished?
I think I'm done, mate. Yeah. Okay. Well, one more thing.
Yeah.
Just one more thing. Who said that?
Just one more thing. It was Columbo.
No, it wasn't.
No, wasn't it?
Well, maybe it was, but Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was the one more thing man, right? Okay. The Apple man. And we spoke about Apple last week. And is that a reason? No, let's go into that tomorrow. That's all tomorrow. Online trading profits, guys. If you haven't registered for that on the Telegram group, got to do that, because you get all this information that we're alluding to in that group. Telegram, online trading profits. I'm done.
Great stuff. All right. Well, thanks very much, Jeff. Thanks very much to Phil, obviously, and thanks to you guys for listening in, and all the little extra interjections that we have. We'll be back as always, same trade time, same trade channel tomorrow at 5 to 8.
That's a date, and don't you be late. See you guys.